Welcome. Bad news over the weekend. Ricky Henderson, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, died at the age of 65. This sparked a very interesting conversation on my X feed. I'm someone that believes Ricky Henderson has claim to being one of the 10 greatest baseball players of all time. I believe that Ricky Henderson is, if I had an all-time starting 9 or an all-time starting 10, Ricky Henderson would make my team. That's a really, really tough thing to say. Baseball has a lot of history, a lot of great players. Most people think of Ricky Henderson as this great leadoff hitter. I think of him as this great all-time baseball player, and that his leadoff hitting makes him even more special. So at some point over the weekend when we were discussing Ricky Henderson, I put out my all-time Major League Baseball team. And I sparked a lot of pushback one way or the other because it's very, very difficult to whittle this down to an all-time starting 9 or 10. I ended up including 11 because I included relief pitcher. So here's my all-time team. It's Lou Gehrig at first base. It's Joe Morgan at second base, Cincinnati Red all-time great. This was a tough decision for me. I spent 16 years in Kansas City. Kansas City is my second hometown. I love Kansas City. I know George Brett personally. But I had to give the nod to Mike Schmidt as the all-time greatest third baseman. I had to do it. George Brett is second. If I wanted to just be a homer, I'd say George Brett. Respect George Brett, always good to me. But I had to go with Mike Schmidt because that's what I believe. Then people really got upset with me because I put Alex Rodriguez at shortstop. And a lot of people, including Butter, got all up in my ear talking about, how you going to put A-Rod over Derek Jeter? And I'm like, A-Rod got 3 MVPs. Derek Jeter has none. And Derek Jeter, great player, played for the Yankees, all-time great player. But, Cal Ripken, Ozzie Smith, there's several people that I would put ahead of Derek Jeter. And, I know A-Rod has the steroid allegations. I know he played third base when he went to the New York Yankees, and that was one of Butter's best arguments was, hey, man, when A-Rod went to the Yankees, he moved to third, and Derek Jeter stayed on at shortstop. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure if Derek Jeter could play third base at the level that A-Rod could play it. And so you want to keep them both where they're both effective and can be on the field at the same time. And if A-Rod can still be an MVP at third base, and Derek Jeter probably could play third base, but not at the level A-Rod did. A-Rod, to me, a better player than Derek Jeter. My starting pitcher is Randy Johnson, the big unit. There's a lot. That's a opinion of mine. I really, really prefer super tall pitchers. My favorite pitcher, and one of my favorite players of all time, is J.R. Richard. He was 6'8", got through heat for the Houston Astros. Randy Johnson, 6'8", 6'9", just incredible. But if you want to go with Roger Clemens, if you want to go with Nolan Ryan, if you want to go with Cy Young, I get it, but I prefer Randy Johnson. Relief, I went with Mariano Rivera. I don't think that's a controversial choice. I think most people consider him the best closer of all time. At catcher, my grandmother's favorite player on my dad's side was Johnny Bench. And the Cincinnati Red Machine, she had 2 baseballs that she caught at Cincinnati Reds games. Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan, I probably got a little biased just because my grandmother was such a huge Cincinnati Reds fan, but I don't even think Johnny Bench, that's not a controversial call. I think many people agree with me there. Then this is where it really, really gets dicey and interesting because in order to get Rickey Henderson in my outfield, I had to leave Ted Williams out of my outfield. I had to leave Mickey Mantle out of my outfield. I had to leave Barry Bonds out of my outfield because my outfield has Rickey Henderson in left field, Willie Mays in center field, and Babe Ruth in right field. Babe Ruth, I'll add this, I cannot argue with the fame, the lore, the accomplishments of Babe Ruth, even though he played in an era where I tend to mark people down and say, like, if you played before integration, did you really play in the best version of Major League Baseball? And I don't do that to disparage any of those guys and their accomplishments, but it's just like when people ask me, how come Ty Cobb's not on here? How come Honus Wagner's not on here? How come Rogers Hornsby's not on your all-time team? Like, they played in an era where I'm sure they were great, but it's why Josh Gibson's not on this team either. He played in the Negro Leagues, and they didn't keep very good stats in the Negro Leagues. He's not my catcher here. Johnny Bench is. The era before integration, I tend to mark down a little bit, except when it comes to Babe Ruth. I'm just not going to argue with all that history and what Babe Ruth meant to American culture and the sport of baseball. Babe Ruth has to be on my all-time team. Willie Mays, say hey Willie Mays, or Mickey Mantle, you can go one way or the other. If I put Mickey Mantle on the team and left Willie Mays off, people would be upset. You put Willie Mays on the team, leave Mickey Mantle off, people are upset. But what triggered a lot of people, and by the way, Barry Bonds is my DH, and some people were like, hey man, Barry Bonds got like 7, 8 gold gloves. He needs to be in the outfield. And I'm gonna put him at DH. That's a little marked down. Not putting him in the outfield is because he used steroids, but Barry Bonds is on my all-time team. Preborn's network of clinics is positioned in the highest abortion areas, and they're fighting for mothers who are deciding between life and death for their unborn child. By introducing a mother to her child on a free ultrasound, they double the chances that that mother will choose life. Then they show those babies and the mothers God's love by providing additional assistance for up to 2 years. To donate, dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. But it's the Rickey Henderson thing that this explanation to me is obvious. There's never been a more important, in my view, offensive weapon in baseball than Rickey Henderson. Look, did Hank Aaron, does he have the home run record, or did he have the home run record? Yes. And him batting number 4, number 5, where is important. But when a guy is your leadoff hitter and his on-base percentage is over 40%, his ability to draw walks, his ability to hit leadoff home runs, his ability once he got on base to steal, the guy's the all-time steals leader by nearly 400, I believe. He caused so much havoc by either drawing a walk or getting a hit to get on base. And then once he's on first base, that's when all the headaches start for the pitcher. And that's when the number 2 hitter is sitting there, oh, I got Rickey Henderson on base. And this pitcher is distracted, concerned. He's going to be throwing me fastballs because he knows that Rickey Henderson is likely going to steal second base. And so it's just Rickey Henderson as a leadoff hitter sets the table for everybody else and makes everybody else in the lineup a better hitter. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.